As dawn breaks over London, a thin mist clings to the cobblestones of Buckingham Palace's courtyard, softening the edges of its cream-colored stone facade. The black iron gates stand tall, their intricate designs catching the first rays of sunlight, while the Union Jack flutters proudly atop its flagpole, a symbol of enduring tradition swaying in the crisp morning air. The palace looms, its windows glinting like silent sentinels, the air heavy with the scent of dew and polished leather. In this sacred hour, where history and duty converge, a single encounter will unfold a clash between one man's arrogance and another's unyielding honor, a moment that will echo beyond the palace gates, as a testament to the power of quiet resolve. As the world stirs, one question resonates. What does it take to stand firm when pride demands submission? A NATO convoy rolls to a stop, its sleek vehicles a stark contrast to the palace's timeless grandeur. Lieutenant Colonel Marcus Sterling steps out, his huge marine uniform crisp, its ribbons gleaming with the weight of campaigns in Iraq and Afghanistan. Outward cheese. Sterling is a commanding figure, his stern face etched with the lines of a man who has led men through fire and emerged hardened. His gray eyes glint with disdain, his lips curled in a faint sneer as he surveys the courtyard, dismissing the British ceremony as outdated pageantry. His goal is clear: to assert dominance, to impose his authority even in this bastion of tradition. A detour he resents before a critical NATO conference. A flashback transports us to Fallujah, where Sterling stands amidst smoke and chaos, his voice barking orders, his face a mask of unyielding authority as he leads his unit through a hail of gunfire, his will bending the battlefield to his command. Now, as he adjusts his cap, the warm dawn light bathes his uniform, highlighting the arrogance in his squared shoulders, the challenge in his stride. At the palace gates, Sergeant James Finch stands motionless, a royal guard in his scarlet tunic and towering bearskin hat, a living embodiment of the crown's honor. At 32, Finch is a seasoned soldier, his lean frame honed by years of combat and discipline. His dark eyes, steady beneath the hat's brim, hold a focus forged in the crucible of Syria, where he served with the British Army's special forces. A faint flashback shows him in a desert wadi, his face resolute as he drags a wounded comrade to safety under a barrage of enemy fire, his strength unyielding despite the chaos around him. Now, as a Queen's Guard, his goal is singular: to uphold the crown's honor with absolute discipline, a duty that transcends rank, nationality, or provocation. His tunic, bathed in cooler dawn shadows, emphasizes his calm resolve, his rifle held at precisely the correct angle, his stillness a silent vow to the tradition he serves. The courtyard is quiet, the mist swirling gently, but a small crowd gathers palace staff in neat uniforms, early tourists with cameras, a journalist scribbling notes, their faces a mix of curiosity and reverence. Among them stands a retired British soldier, Major Arthur Wells, his grey scarf tucked neatly into his coat, his weathered face stern, his eyes sharp with the memory of his own service. The palace's stone facade looms behind, its golden hues catching the dawn, a symbol of unbroken tradition. Sterling strides toward Finch, his boots echoing on the cobblestones, each step a challenge, his expression a blend of mockery and authority. The warm light of dawn sharpens the glint of his ribbons, casting his aggressive stance in stark relief. He stops inches from Finch, his lips curling into a sneer, and demands, his voice loud and commanding, "Salute me now, that's an order." Finch stands motionless, his face impassive, his eyes fixed on the horizon with disciplined focus, a subtle tension in his jaw betraying his awareness of the challenge. The crowd watches with unease, the journalist's pen pausing, a tourist's camera lowering, Major Wells's eyebrows furrowing in disapproval. The conflict ignites as Sterling's demand hangs in the air, unanswered, unchallenged by Finch's silence. The Royal Guard's protocol is ironclad. A salute is reserved for the British royal family, or those explicitly designated by command, not for foreign officers, no matter their rank. Sterling, accustomed to instant obedience, feels the sting of Finch's stillness, his pride wounded by what he perceives as defiance. The crowd senses the tension, their faces shifting from curiosity to concern. A palace staff member, a young woman in a navy blazer, whispers nervously to her colleague, "He can do that, can he?" The journalist, sensing a story, scribbles faster, while a tourist, an elderly man with a Union Jack pin, frowns, his hand tightening on his wife's arm. Major Wells, his scarf catching the breeze, stands taller, his expression a mix of anger and anticipation, his military instincts alert to the breach of decorum. The mist swirls around the two men, the Union Jack fluttering above, its colors vivid against the dawn sky. As Sterling's warm-lit arrogance clashes with the cool shadowed resolve of Finch's tunic, the tension escalates as Sterling, enraged by Finch's silence, steps closer, his face inches from the guards, his eyes narrowed, his voice a low, venomous growl. "You're just a relic in a costume," he mocks, his words cutting through the morning air, each syllable a deliberate provocation. The crowd gasps softly, the tourist's face showing shock. The staff members whisper, growing urgent. Sterling, his patience exhausted, reaches out, brushing Finch's tunic with a dismissive gesture, his fingers grazing the scarlet fabric in a blatant breach of protocol. The warm spotlight of dawn highlights his aggressive stance, his hand a symbol of his arrogance, while soft shadows cling to Finch's unyielding form, emphasizing his stoic dignity. Finch remains still, his expression unchanging, but his eyes flicker with quiet resolve, his hands steady on his rifle. He's training a fortress against the insult. The crowd grows tense, their murmurs rising. A young woman in a red coat whispers, "He touched him." Major Wells grips his scarf tightly, his face darkening, muttering to those nearby, "That's a line crossed." The mist thickens, swirling around the two men, the palace gates glowing softly in the background, a silent witness to the mounting drama. The standoff reaches its peak as Sterling's provocation demands a response, the air crackling with the weight of the moment. Finch, trained to protect the crown's dignity, acts with the precision of a soldier who has faced far greater threats. In a gentle but firm motion, he pushes Sterling's hand away from his tunic, his gloved fingers steady, his touch devoid of aggression but resolute. The cool shadows on his tunic deepen, his form a pillar of dignity against the dawn's warm light. His eyes lock onto Sterling's, unshakable resolve burning in their depths, and his voice, low and steady, cuts through the silence. "My duty is to the crown, not external command," he states, each word a declaration of principle, a rebuke to Sterling's arrogance. Sterling freezes, his face a mask of disbelief, his eyes wide, his jaw tight with shock, the warm light on his uniform now exposing his stunned vulnerability. The crowd watches in awe, their faces transformed. The journalist's pen stops. The tourist's expression turns reverent. Major Wells' stern features soften into a proud nod, his scarf fluttering as he whispers, "Well done, lad." Captain Edward Harrow, a Queen's Guard officer with a decade of service, steps forward from the palace entrance, his uniform impeccable, his face stern but proud. His boots click on the cobblestones, his presence a calming force in the charged atmosphere. "Sergeant Finch followed protocol," he says, his voice authoritative yet measured, addressing Sterling with respect but firmness. The Queen's Guard salutes only the royal family, or those designated by command. The cool light on Harrow's face mirrors Finch's resolve, while the palace gates glow softly behind, framing the scene with tradition's weight. Sterling's superior, Colonel Davies, A.U.C., army officer with a weathered face, emerges from the convoy, his expression firm but diplomatic. He places a hand on Sterling's shoulder, pulling him back, his voice low. "Stand down, Marcus. You misread this one." Sterling's face remains stiff, his eyes flickering with a mix of indignation and dawning realization. The warm dawn light now softening his aggressive stance, revealing a man forced to confront his error. The resolution unfolds as Sterling retreats to the convoy. His steps heavy, his expression rigid, his eyes downcast with reluctant reflection. His men follow in silence, their faces a mix of embarrassment and respect for the god who stood firm. The crowd, once tense, exhales, their murmurs filled with admiration. Major Wells steps forward, his scarf catching the breeze, his voice weathered but authoritative, carrying over the courtyard. That guard's seen more steel than you'll ever know, he says, pointing to Finch, his words a bridge between the soldiers' worlds. The crowd nods, their faces reflecting respect. The journalist scribbles furiously. The tourist claps softly. The staff member smiles with pride. The mist begins to lift, the dawn light warming the cobblestones. The Union Jack fluttering above as a symbol of the honor upheld. Finch resumes his post, his rifle steady, his bearskin hat adjusted, his silhouette a testament to the discipline that weathered the storm. Days later, the incident ripples through military and diplomatic circles, a story of principle over pride. At a private ceremony in Buckingham Palace's ballroom, Finch stands before his commanding officer, Colonel Sir William Tate, his scarlet tunic vivid against the room's gilded walls. The air is warm, with the scent of polished wood and fresh flowers, the windows framing a view of the palace gardens. Tate, his face stern but warm, pins a commendation to Finch's chest, his voice resonant. You upheld the crown's honor. Sergeant, your resolve strengthens us all. Finch's expression is serene, his eyes proud, a quiet pride burning within as he salutes, the cool light of the room casting his form in dignified relief. His comrades, gathered in the room, offer nods of respect, their silence louder than applause, their bonds forged in shared duty. Across London, at a NATO conference in a sleek Whitehall venue, Sterling sits among officers, his uniform still crisp, but his demeanor subdued. The warm light of chandeliers bathes the room, but his face is shadowed, his eyes reflecting a man changed by reflection. During a break, he approaches a British general, Sir Charles Langley, his voice low, his tone earnest. Your man was right, he admits, his words a rare concession from a man unaccustomed to yielding. I misjudged the weight of his duty. Langley, his face weathered but kind, nods, his eyes meeting Sterling's. Honor looks different in every uniform. Colonel, you saw it in Finch. The exchange, brief but profound, marks a shift in Sterling, a lesson in humility that will shape his leadership, a recognition that respect is earned, not demanded. The story spreads, as such stories do, carried by the journalist's article, shared by tourists on social media, whispered among palace staff. A viral video captures Finch's calm rebuke, Sterling's stunned retreat, Wells' powerful words, each frame a lesson in the power of quiet resolve. News outlets frame the incident as a clash of cultures, a triumph of tradition, a reminder that honor transcends borders. Major Wells, back at his modest Kent cottage, shares the tale with his grandson, his scarf folded neatly on a chair, his voice steady with pride. The boy listens, his eyes wide, vowing to remember the guard who stood firm. The tourist, now home in Canada, shows the video to friends, her voice filled with awe. The staff member, a young woman named Clara, tells her family, her pride in the palace renewed. Finch, unchanged by the attention, returns to his post the following week. The dawn mist once again clinging to the cobblestones. The palace gates stand tall, the Union Jack fluttering, the courtyard alive with new tourists, their cameras flashing. Finch's scarlet tunic glows in the cool morning shadows, his bearskin hat steady, his rifle a silent vow. The crowd, unaware of the drama, snaps photos. But Clara, passing by on her way to work, pauses, her face lighting with a smile as she nods to Finch, a quiet acknowledgement of his stand. The journalist, now a regular at the palace, watches from the sidelines, her notebook filled with stories of duty, her respect for Finch, a constant. The palace, with its cream-colored stones and iron gates, stands as it always has, a witness to countless moments of pride and principle, its honor upheld by a guard who refused to bend. The encounter at Buckingham Palace is more than a clash of egos. It is a parable for our time, a reminder that honor is not a command to be issued, but a virtue to be earned through quiet resolve. It challenges us to look beyond rank, beyond uniforms, to see the shared values that bind us: discipline, duty, the courage to stand firm for what is right. James Finch, with his silent strength, proved that true honor lies in the refusal to compromise, in the steady heart that weathers the storm, in the quiet victories that echo louder than any shout. Marcus Sterling, in his defeat, learned what many spend lifetimes discovering: that respect is a bridge built through understanding, not a wall raised by force. The palace, with its timeless rituals and steadfast guards, carries on, its story enriched by a dawn that saw honor prevail. What does honor mean to you? Have you ever faced a moment where you had to stand firm for your principles, even against pressure? Did you hold your ground, or find a way to build understanding across divides? Share your story in the comments below. Tell us about the moments that tested your values, the choices that defined your honor, the lessons that linger in your heart. If you're inspired by stories like James Finch's stories of resilience, duty, and the quiet victories that shape our world, hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell. Join us for more tales that uplift, that challenge, that remind us of the strength within us all, every single day.